From the moment you walk into the showroom floor at Trapp Cadillac, you understand our commitment to providing a truly exceptional experience for all returning and new customers.
Our goal is to make sure you're always comfortable while understanding the entire process of getting into your new Trapp Cadillac.
When you drive a Trapp Cadillac, you know performance, bold styling, and our shared commitment to service.
One thing you can always count on here at Trapp Cadillac is our excellent service experience.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you are joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. And you know, when we have news and updates coming from Sheriff's Office, is one place to go. My friend Blake Tabor, thanks for joining us today.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right, very cool. So let's talk about this first one as we kind of dive into this first situation that we're dealing with drug related.
Sure. So these were a couple of cases that were sort of derived recently from some pretty heavy response to citizen complaints of illegal drug activity throughout Terrebonne Parish.
Okay.
You know, it's important that people understand that our narcotics division works a lot of in-depth investigations, but there's often times where we have to get back to that street level enforcement, and that's exactly what we've been doing lately to try to dedicate more of our time to that. So
Boots on the ground make a difference.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. So in the latter part of August, again, we started hitting the streets pretty hard. And one particular night, of course, they were patrolling in the area of Magnolia Street in the 200 block,
Okay.
where they happened to observe a vehicle in a parking lot with the headlights on. As they got a closer look at that vehicle, they observed what they believed to be an unresponsive male in that driver's seat, or he could have very well been sleeping, but you know, it's not normal to see someone sleeping
Right.
at that time of morning. So, of course, as our narcotics agents got out to investigate a little further, they happened to look inside the vehicle and noticed a very strange weapon on the passenger floorboard, and that was a crossbow with a loaded arrow inside of it.
Oh my.
So again, you know, weapons don't just come in the form of firearms.
That's correct.
This is also something that, you know, of course, increases our concern. So again, compounded with the male subject that was unresponsive in the driver's seat. So ultimately, they were able to make contact with the driver. He ultimately woke up and made contact with them. And of course, because of the weapon, they had him step out of the vehicle. Once they were able to get him out of the vehicle, they realized that he was not suffering from any type of medical condition, but there was some pretty obvious signs of drug use there.
Okay.
In addition to that, once he was removed from the vehicle, the agents quickly noted that there was some illegally bagged drugs, or what appeared to be illegal narcotics, on the floorboard of that particular car. So again, they began their investigation. They completed a lawful arrest of that vehicle, where they ultimately found evidence of heroin, marijuana, crack cocaine, methamphetamines, and over $1,100 in cash. And you see it photographed here. They were able to quickly identify that suspect as a Gary G. Robertson, 41 years old, of Chauvin. You see him photographed here. And of course, once they completed that search, that quickly went into Mr. Robertson being taken into custody and charged for a multitude of charges, which consisted of possession with intent to distribute heroin, possession with intent crack cocaine, possession with intent to distribute marijuana, methamphetamines, possession of drug paraphernalia, transactions involving proceeds from drug offenses, and of course, several unrelated warrant arrests.
Right.
So he was ultimately incarcerated on a $375,500 bond by local judges.
Wow. And again, just great detective work, figuring out what's going on and an issue, and taking your time, taking those steps to realize this individual is there selling drugs.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So this next one, a little bit longer.
A little bit longer. So this one was a traffic stop. Again, community response of illegal drug activity. So as they're patrolling the area of Columbus and Eliza Street, of course, they see a vehicle commit a traffic violation where our agents conducted a traffic stop. At that point, they were quickly able to identify the three occupants in the vehicle as Edward Charles Alvis, a 55-year-old male from Houma, a Randall Anthony Jules, which is a 45-year-old male from Houma, and a Darrell Joseph Lagarde Jr., a 45-year-old male from Houma. So as they started into this, again, they observed several indicators inside of that vehicle of some potential illegal drug activity going on in the form of drug paraphernalia.
Okay.
So again, once they observed that, one of our recourses for that is getting a K-9 into the area. So again, we requested the assistance from a Houma Police Department K-9 officer who was en route. Those things don't always happen within 2 minutes like people think they do on TV, but it took a while. So as they are going through the warrant process and checking their names, they discovered that Mr. Jules was wanted for several outstanding warrants, which caused them to take him into custody very quickly. A subsequent search of his person revealed some illegal medication in the form of pills, later determined to be a CDS2. So ultimately, he was immediately taken into custody. A subsequent search of Mr. Lagarde revealed that he had a large amount of cash in his pocket, which that in and of itself is not illegal.
Right.
And then also Mr. Alvis, when they ran him for warrants, they found him to be in possession of some drug paraphernalia and suspected crack cocaine on his person. So he was also taken into custody. So fast forward, the K-9 officer gets there. The K-9 is run and performs an open air sniff on that vehicle, gives a positive indicator for drugs being present inside, and we all know what happens from there. That led to a search where you see the items here recovered. The items recovered were cocaine, crack cocaine, heroin, illegal prescription medication, multiple items of drug paraphernalia that were consistent with narcotics distribution, and that's important.
Right.
And in addition to the over $1,500 in cash in Lagarde's pocket. So again, as the agents are investigating this, they realized that Lagarde had a lot to do with what was going on inside that vehicle. And of course, he was arrested for a multitude of distribution charges of all those drugs we talked about. He was booked on a $50,000 bond and later released. Okay. And of course, Jules still remains in jail on the warrants and charges on a $33,600 bond. And Mr. Alvis is still incarcerated on a $10,000 bond for his charges.
Yeah, well, Lieutenant Blake, we appreciate it so very much. And thanks again. I know the sheriff is always very glad and always reaching out to give thanks to the Narcotics Division for an outstanding job.
They do an incredible job. Very, very dangerous job.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it very, very much. Appreciate the updates.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. And that'll do it for this particular segment, but don't go anywhere. A lot more Bayou time when we continue.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.